Is this podcast longer than it should be?
You're the first person to notice. This episode of the Diabolical Podcast features spoilers for Panic Room. This is Diabolical, the show where four long-suffering friends dissect films' most dastardly schemes, then compete to improve them. I'm your host, Craig, aka Super Dude, and this week's movie is David Fincher's middle-class nightmare home invasion thriller, Panic Room. So, Peril Pals, lock all your doors and windows, set your alarms, light Jared Leto on fire, and let's get diabolical. Welcome to episode 117. As host for this week, I'm the fruity estate agent showing the panel of peril around the tasteful townhouse that is Diabolical, as they compete against me at the close of the show in a bid to become the most affluent beneficiary of an old man's secret stash, as we each try to come up with the best alternative plan for the movie villain of the week before we vote to name this week's most diabolical. As ever, I am joined by a disgruntled security specialist, a sadistic and reckless career criminal, and a cornrowed wanky little dipshit heir. Please introduce yourselves and tell me about a time when you've had to seal yourself or someone else inside a room. And let's hear first from Ben.
Which one of those am I?
Let the listeners decide.
Read my mind.
Hi, Ben here. And the time I had to lock myself in a room, I have to go way back to when I was a youngster, probably 12, 13 years old. And my older brother is 6 years older than me, so quite a bit older and quite a bit beefier. And I could never beat him in a fight because I was a skinny wretch. And I still am.
Still are, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Much more wretched these days.
Much more wretched. So I used to abuse him mentally because that's what I had on him. We got into a fight one day, and I don't think he was even living at home at this point. He was out, but we got in a fight of something, and he gave me the worst dead arm, and I just flung a fist back, smacked him in the mouth. He was just shocked, like absolutely shocked, like never expect that in a million years. I just went, oh shit, and legged it upstairs, locked myself in the upstairs toilet, which was just a tiny little room, and just shouted, Mom!
Very good. And let's hear next from Adam, please.
Don't panic, everybody. It's me, Adam. Hello.
That's nice. Nice touch.
My funniest reason for locking myself in a room was when I worked in a previous vocation, and I came in extremely worse for wear. Probably still well going.
3 sheets to the wind.
Yeah, and the rest. Maybe perhaps 4 or 5 sheets to the wind, I would say, possibly.
Oh dear.
Very, very. And it used to be, in my old job, I used to have access to a locker where I could let myself in and out and lock it after and sit in there. And my old boss, who was also my friend at the time, noticed I was in a hell of a state. And he said, what the hell are you doing in? Go to your locker, lock yourself in, and don't come out until you feel all right again. So I proceeded to sit in my locker from about 8 o'clock in the morning till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, just keeping out of the way, making sure nobody saw me, because I was in such a hell of a state.
Tribunal even now. That's crazy.
No, but I had the key myself, so I could lock myself in and lock myself out. So.
Yeah, just asking you to do it, though, I think.
Oh, it's fine. But
I disagree.
But then some people had seen me. I went into the canteen at lunch, and some people were like, oh my God, what was up with you this morning? I was like, what do you mean? I'm fine.
And Gaz.
Hi, Peril Pals, Gaz here. There's a room that I close myself in whenever I need some time alone at home. I could be in there for up to half an hour at a time, several times a day. I am, of course, talking about the kitchen.
Is that it?
It's quite a story. Fucking hell.
Cheers.
I haven't been to your house for a while, but doesn't your
There's no door.
There's no door.
Yeah, there is.
Is there?
What's this? What's that? Is that a door?
That's the dining room.
Kind of is.
dining room, kitchen
All right,
diner.
well, I'm not going to pick about the architecture of your house.
Yeah.
That's our other podcast.
Question wasn't really what room have you been in so much as why were you in there?
Thanks for letting us know what room you visited.
What do you normally do in a kitchen? You cook, don't you?
Okay.
Cook, don't you?
Well, thanks for that magical story, Gaz. My story is quite similar to Ben's. When my sister first moved out of home and got her own place, I used to go around and hang out with her quite a lot. And I remember one time I was at hers and I hadn't been home for dinner. I really wanted some cereal, and she said that I couldn't have any because she needed it for the next day or something. But I was just so hungry, so I just got myself a bowl of cereal and I went and locked myself in her bathroom to eat it in the dark. And somehow she knew what had happened, and she came and she was shouting, banging on the door. What are you doing in there? What are you doing there? And then she kicked the door off its hinge.
Jesus Christ!
But she was so surprised and shocked that she had done it, she just started laughing. So there we go.
Very nice.
Were you sitting in the bath?
No, I was sat on the toilet.
Obviously. Stupid
with
question.
the seat down. Well, it's a seat, isn't it?
Yeah.
The throne.
Yeah. Now, like many movies, Panic Room got pretty close to shooting with a different cast. But who was in the running, and how close were they? I'm going to tell you about 3 almost ran casting considerations, and all you've got to do is spot the fake one. So, number 1, Nicole Kidman was originally cast as the lead, only pulling out at the last minute due to an injury sustained on the set of Moulin Rouge. The sets had been designed with Kidman in mind, to the extent that the laser that safely prevents the panic room door from closing when an obstacle's in the way would be in the shorter Jodie Foster's eye line. Kidman still appears in the finished film as the disembodied voice of Foster's ex-husband's new girlfriend who initially answers the phone. So number 1, Nicole Kidman. Number 2, David Fincher's original idea for the ex-husband was to cast a known action star, such as Mel Gibson, in order to pull the rug out from under the audience. Speaking on the commentary track, Fincher said, "There was a point in time where we discussed the idea of having, like, Mel Gibson show up as the ex-husband. And you go, oh my god, Mel Gibson's here, everything's going to be okay. And he just progressively gets more and more beat." So number 2, Mel Gibson. Or number 3, for the role of the cop who tries to help Foster communicate an SOS without alerting the intruders, Fincher originally cast Big Bird, Sesame Street's resident voice of calm. On the commentary for the deleted scene, Fincher recalls, "He just has this aura, he's so pure and he has no bullshit. But ultimately, he put the test audience too much at ease in what should be a tense scene." Despite being cut, Big Bird's puppeteers are still credited. So is that 1, Nicole Kidman, 2, Mel Gibson, or 3, Big Bird?
They're all fake, and we've got to go with the one we prefer.
You're coming to understand the rules of this little game.
I don't think Nicole Kidman was in it. I remember seeing that.
No, that's true. I remember her being the lead. And
no, she wasn't in it. It was Jodie Foster. I saw it. So I'm going with Nicole Kidman.
Okay. Adam, are you going to take the game seriously? You're going to fuck around like Benny?
I'm going to say Meryl Streep.
I'm getting off on the wrong foot here.
Getting off on the wrong foot.
Yeah. Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep and Gaz.
Well, I don't remember seeing any credits for puppeteers of any kind.
Where you're wrong.
Despite seeing rather a large bird in the film at points, various points. However, no puppeteers, so I'm going to say Big Bird.
Well,
Wait.
Yeah.
Let me remind you, Gaz, when Jodie Foster goes under the bed to get her phone, there's a telltale yellow feather.
That is true.
Thus proving the existence of Big Bird.
Oh, yeah.
I will tell you, Gaz, believe it or not, you are wrong. There are puppeteers in the credits. Not for Big Bird.
Jared Leto's face.
When Patrick Bowchow is in the chair and his collarbone's dislocated, the puppeteer his loose collarbone. But yeah, Big Bird never in the running for the role of the cop, sadly. Time now to delve into this week's film, Panic Room. Inspired by articles on real-life panic rooms, screenwriter David Koepp crafted this slick, claustrophobic thriller in the same vein as 1967's Audrey Hepburn home invasion thriller, Wait Until Dark. Despite the mostly single-location shoot on a purpose-built set, director David Fincher described the 120-day production as a logistical nightmare, ironic given his previous feature, Fight Club, reportedly used around 100 locations. Filming of Panic Room was almost entirely derailed when lead Nicole Kidman was forced to exit at the very last minute, replaced by Jodie Foster on the longest shoot of her career. Young star Kristen Stewart grew taller than her screen mother during principal photography, which was completed in sequence in order to maintain continuity as the house is systematically remodelled with sledgehammers and exploding propane tanks. Some exterior location reshoots were required to film around Foster's pregnancy, when execs were unconvinced to see the production had attempted to conceal her shape with a long coat. Cinematographer Conrad Hall replaced Darius Khondji, who quit several weeks into production. Fincher's commitment to authenticity led to multiple takes of incidental actions, and injuries were sustained on stunts that used practical effects. Thanks to Fincher's commitment to his and Koepp's omniscient vision, the result is a dazzling, dizzying dollhouse in which the players are confined but the camera is unbound, free to flit through walls and floors, to squeeze through pipes and keyholes. Fincher saw Panic Room as a popcorn or date night movie, combining elements of Straw Dogs, Rear Window and the Treasure of the Sierra Madre with a stylish and impressive opening title sequence that pays homage to North by Northwest. For me, aside from being the exemplar of his signature slick style, Panic Room has always been a fave Fincher of mine thanks to its tight focus, cracking pace, and its flirtation between crowd-pleasing thrills and pragmatic refusal to give anyone a happy ending. But what did the panel make of it? I'd like to hear first from Ben.
Well, the risk you run when you set a movie in such a closed environment is that it can get very dull very quickly. But this film avoids that pitfall with aplomb. Thanks to some very inventive filmmaking, I thought. Yeah, I was engaged throughout. I thought the practical effects and tight pacing kept the tension high. I'd say is there a couple of CG shots in there that looked a bit...
Tons of CG shots.
A bit dated, but I think it was a minor niggle because I think they were creative and I think they were used in the right spots. So it worked well.
The way Fincher uses CGI prevents it from dating too badly because it's all like photogrammetry. It's like real textures that have been photographed from multiple angles. Like the bin in Fight Club. Do you remember the bin in Fight Club? That's so cool. Right, yeah.
Yeah, so it like I say, it looks a bit dated, but because it's in the right places and it's not overused, I think it just becomes a minor niggle. You know, you got a very small cast, but every performance is spot on. And I'll give a special mention to Dwight Yoakam. As a Raoul.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I think that's the first thing I saw him in.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'd have to say so too. So I don't think the film ever reaches like the ridiculously high standard of 7, but it's really solid, and I'd say probably on balance, I prefer it to Dragon Tattoo. Are those all the Fincher films we've covered on the podcast?
Yeah, so far.
Yeah. So I'd say this film is a solid number 2. So overall, I give it, don't panic, just sit down in a room alongside someone with whom you share a bond and treat yourself to an evening of Finchcockian suspense. And that is out of 22 million.
Nice. Aiming high. Well, Gans, I saw you scoff at the notion that Panic Room is better than The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Where does it sit in your ranking of Fincher?
Near the bottom of the pile. Bottom of the pile.
You stupid ranker.
Is Mank and The Game.
Yeah.
And then this sits just above them. Doesn't mean it's a bad film. No. Just means I think it's quite a minor effort from him. I don't think it's aged as well as his other work, which perhaps Fight Club, I suppose, is dated to the late 90s, early 2000s, but the rest of it feels quite timeless, particularly 7.
Yeah.
sort of feels like it could be any point in history.
Yeah.
Panic Room is a very good film, very well constructed, laid out. But it's just, I don't know. I think it's just a bit too small scale for my tastes currently. Great performances from everybody, like Ben said. A great ensemble. Slightly kind of stereotypical character for Forrest Whitaker, the honourable black man criminal. Is like, that's a bit lame. Jodie Foster's very good. We'll find out who my favourite character is when we get to favourite lines, which I'm not going to reveal here. It's too good to spoil.
Tease.
Too good to spoil. But yeah, the CG is horrendous in points. Absolutely horrendous. The big camera shot that goes along the electrical wire behind the fridge and all that, it just looks crap. No, really, really
I don't
bad.
think that's the CGI. I think that's like the inconsistencies in lighting. I think because the whole house is so dark.
The score, however, Howard Shore's score is superb. I think one of his best, actually. Just big and brassy and more sort of in line with his scores for Cronenberg, sort of doom-laden and not as showy as his work with Peter Jackson, for example. So yeah, it's good, and it won't be the last time that I watch the film, but it's like I say, for a Fincher film, it's quite a minor effort. There's not too much to it. It's kind of a straightforward
I think that's
thriller.
what he was hoping for, so I suppose he achieved that. Adam, where do you sit on this spectrum?
I'm kind of tempted to say it's like an understated classic in a way, because it just goes about its business and it does it very well for what it is. And it's, I can imagine it was a very difficult film to make because it's set in one house. The events mostly are set within one room. And I was thinking, this must be a really difficult project to keep the suspense up and to keep it interesting. And I think there's a few points through the film that he does that, and then he obviously jazzes it up and he shows off with some cinematography and things like that, which is great. I'm not bothered about whether the CGI or whatever or the lighting's not brilliant. I really like the panache that he does it with. And I haven't seen it for a long time, and I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but I really did enjoy it. And I think, like the other two said, fantastic performances, understated when they needed to be, and then ridiculously over the top and sinister as well, and pure terror from Jodie Foster and Kristen Stewart. Yeah, it was a really solid film. I can imagine people looking back in another 20 years and going, it's an absolute solid thriller from that time, and it'll be held up quite well, I think. Really, definitely not. Can't hold a candle to 7, but still, I think it does what it does, and it does it really well.
Yeah, I think to varying degrees, I agree with everything everybody said. It's a strong canon that David Fincher has, and it's hard to crack the top. But purely on its own terms and not judging it against anything else, I think it's a great thriller. It's one of the better Die Hards on a blank. I think it benefits from having what pricks online will call strong female leads. But they really are. I mean, Jodie Foster's great. I think Kristen Stewart is exceptional. She's such a talent, and it's good to see her starting to become kind of a cult favourite with things like Love Lies Bleeding, which is fucking amazing. But yeah, great in this. She's playing this kind of sassy teen, but with this vulnerable side, and that's difficult to pull off, I think, and I think she pulls it off really well. Forrest Whitaker, is a stereotypical role for him, but he's so solid in it.
And he's so lovable. You can't help but...
You need someone like him to pull this off.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't always act in like a nice way. He is a bad guy for parts of it, and it's testament to his ability to play that archetype that he is still sympathetic at the end. Cool to see some genre actors in there. Ian Buchanan from Twin Peaks, Gaz, I'm sure you would enjoy seeing him.
Neil Buchanan.
He's the estate agent at the start, isn't he? That's my note. One of my first notes is I love the estate agent guy.
He's
and
great,
I wrote his
isn't he?
name down, Ian Buchanan. Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Bowchow, taking on the role of the father. He was he's in Phenomena, isn't he? But he was in Carnival. That's what I was remembering from. He was the creepy old guy, and Father Intitola from Sopranos as the cop, not Big Bird.
More's the pity.
He doesn't have a lot of screen time, but he does so well in that little role. I think he's really memorable. And there's stuff in this, not just like the really well conceived, robotic camera moves, and I do love all that, but even down to little touches like at the end when Forrest Whitaker has to drop the bonds and they fly around him like a little tornado of little touches like that are really great.
Yeah.
I think it's really satisfying and well done, and I like that at the end nobody really gets anything that they want. So.
No, it's an anticlimax.
Quite the interesting thing is, going back to the creative constraint of being shot entirely in the house.
Yeah.
I imagine that's what excited Fincher on the project.
I believe so. From what I've read, he was really tired after Fight Club because, like I said, 100 locations in that shoot, and he wanted to do something more contained. But I don't think he quite realised how complex it was going to get.
Right. Yeah. But it's often interesting to set yourself a challenge and to give yourself a creative constraint.
Yeah.
And then force yourself to work within it. It's quite.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of enjoyed watching this film and just thinking, all right, well, they have to make this interesting in that one location, basically.
Yeah.
And I think they do really well.
Yeah, no, I think so, yeah. Does anybody have a favourite sequence? Let's start with... Go back to Gals again.
Hang on.
Is anybody ready to share their favourite sequence?
I am.
Let's start with Adam. Fucking hell,
This is the first time.
Hell froze over.
One of the, like I said, the snazzy cinematography bits is where the camera goes through like the handle of the kettle and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just really thought that was just him just showing off the way he does sometimes, isn't it, in some of the films.
It's also, there's a lot of exposition in there and setting up things as well. So,
really it's lovely. It's lovely. And I was just like, ooh, you, cheese.
Yeah.
Teasing me with textures.
We joke quite often about Chekhov's blank, but there's so many of those in this. Every shot is showing you like around the layout of the house or something that's going to be used later on. I love all that. It's really cool.
Thought we were talking about Sean Bean again for a second then. Chekhov's blank.
He's Jerkoff's blank. Gaz, are you ready now?
I think so, yeah. I quite like the reversal that happens probably about 2/3 of the way into the film, I would think, where Dwight Yoakam and Forrest Whitaker themselves wind up trapped in the panic room, and Yoakam gets his hand smashed in the closing door. It's an interesting inversion based on what's gone before.
Yeah, they built a ballistic hand for that, to actually crush a hand. So very cool.
There used to be ice creams back in the day that were like shaped like hands. Should have just got one of them, stuck it in a glove. Would have been
Weren't
fine.
they feet? I think they were feet, not hands.
I remember feet.
Yeah.
How could you not get both?
No, the foot.
Maybe in your nightmare of a life.
Or maybe I'm thinking of like a cow's udder.
Maybe you're thinking of Monster Munch. Dwight Yoakam puts his hand up his sleeve and he's holding a Monster Munch, and that's what gets crushed into.
Hi, listeners out there in America. A Monster Munch is a maize snack. Maize is the
Native American word.
for corn.
Yeah, it's an export of Libya.
Hope you're enjoying this Simpsons showing, folks. Well, let's go next to Adam.
Thank you, you American pig.
Let's go next to Ben.
Well, I didn't take that many notes because I was, this was the first watch for me and I was quite engaged. But one note I did take was the moment where they are just entering the house, the three criminals for the first time.
Yeah.
And we see Forrest Whitaker in the doorway. And I think the shot's over the shoulder of Jodie Foster in bed.
Yeah.
that was just
That
beautiful.
is great.
The tension and
It's nice,
just the way it was shot. It was absolutely stunning.
Fincher said one of the things that was exciting to him about the idea, like the concept of the movie being like a bottle in a one location, was it being like a goldfish bowl with those guys like staring into the windows and stuff. So
Yeah.
I would say the sequence where they get coming down in the lift, and it shows you that bisection of the house where they're going down in the lift on the right hand side of the frame, and Jared Leto's trying to pull the door open on the left hand side of the frame. That's really cool. But also the whole sequence of where they think they're going to gas them in the panic room, and then they light the propane, which apparently propane wouldn't behave that way, but that's a stupid thing to care about. And if you care about that, you're listening to the wrong podcast.
I was going to say, they do it in so many films like that anyway, don't they? It's just, yeah. They use like, it's like when they flick a fag onto petrol and it goes up.
Right, yeah. Does that not work in real life? That's a shame.
Go to the petrol station, try.
Did you know that urine is sterile? You can drink it.
Please do not try either of these things at home.
It's the fumes from petrol, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be a certain volume of.
Fuck off, Poindexter.
Okay.
That's why you don't leave your car window open when you're refilling the tank.
Don't leave your car window open when you're refilling the tank. Batman, begin.
When I was in the Royal Air Force, it was much more dangerous to leave a jet empty than it was full.
No, I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yep.
We've learned something today, Peril Pals.
Yeah.
Adam, do you have a favourite line of dialogue from Panic Room?
Yeah, it's just the bit where Meg is going around smashing all the CCTV cameras, and Raoul just says, "Why the hell don't we do that?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
This brilliant piece of irony when they realise that there are no videotapes in there and they could have just left. Favourite line, Gaz?
Okay, it is from the realtor at the start of the film, showing them around the property, and he says, "I'm meeting Arthur Dickley Lawrence in 26 minutes, and if you think Arthur Dickley Lawrence is the kind of man who tolerates tardiness, then you are sadly mistaken."
He's such a great character. He's brilliant.
It's the most mental sequence of words I think they could have given him.
So good.
If you enjoyed his performance in this, Peril Pals, and for the reasons of anybody alive should do this, I urge you to watch all of Twin Peaks.
I second that motion.
Yes. Ben, a favourite line of dialogue from you?
My favourite line is pretty early on when the criminals just got in the house and Jared Leto's character introduces Raoul to Forrest Whitaker's character.
Yeah.
And he says, "This is Raoul." And Forrest Whitaker goes, "Who are you?" He goes, "I'm Raoul."
Well, my favourite line is one that Jodie Foster gets to deliver to Nicole Kidman. I don't know if they got to perform together, but it's great, which is when they finally get hold of a phone and try and phone Stephen, but his girlfriend answers, and Jodie Foster says, "Put him on the phone, bitch." That's just a great line. I'm sure she had fun delivering it. Anybody want to say anything else about Panic Room before we move on?
Do you remember how long it took to come out on a decent DVD back in the day?
Yeah, and still to this day, it's not come out as a Blu-ray special edition.
Has it not?
Hasn't it?
No, I had to wait years for that 3-disc DVD special edition.
I would like to say about, you pointed out propane not acting that same way.
For fuck's
There's
sake.
another thing in this film that's like frequents films, but it never happens in real life.
Yeah.
There's people sleeping with their curtains open or the draw, the blinds up.
That's how monsters get in.
Yeah.
I used to do that when I lived at home with my dad.
What, sleep with your curtains open?
Yeah.
Well, was that something to do with your dad? Would he creep in the darkness, would he?
So when he's
quite
floating
sweet,
outside your
wasn't it?
window, you can see him and you can let him in.
Crawling up the wall.
Yes, let me in!
Well, I thought this might come up more organically, but I guess it'll have to be edited back in somewhere. But somebody was singling out Dwight Yoakam's performance, which is great. But what I really love is how he metamorphoses into like a horror movie monster by the end, hobbling around on his sledgehammer, His hair's all messed up, his face is messed up, his hand's squashed. He's like a proper monster shambling up the stairs at the end.
Isn't he a country singer?
Yeah.
Think so. That rings a bell.
I know he was in movies before this, but I didn't see them till later. He's in Sling Blade, isn't he? But I didn't see Sling Blade until after Panic Room.
Right. Only seen that the once back in the day.
Oh, absolutely outstanding. Really stand-out performer in this.
Yeah, mate.
Mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Some folks call it Sling Blade. I call it Sling Blade. It's been a while since I've seen it. The one little trivia Easter egg that I think is not too dull to mention is the slobby neighbour who they try to appeal to with the torch, the SOS, is Andrew Kevin Walker.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Huh.
Screenwriter of Sir Sevenin.
That's a bit of a weird bit, isn't it? He draws the curtains, but then presumably... Is it him that's called the police, or is it the husband?
It's the husband, yeah.
Husband,
It's
isn't it?
husband, 'cause she brings him.
She asks him and he says, of course I called the police. Yeah.
Fair
Do you think you'd be able to get signal by putting your arm into that little vent?
I thought
phone.
so.
Probably.
How could it block it, is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Metal.
But you do just get black spots, don't you?
Yeah. Especially in 2002, whenever.
When I was in
true.
Llandudno today, I went from like Maddox Street to Mostyn Street, and the signal on Magnet Street was fine, and then Mostyn Street was shit. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Bit of entertainment for you there, Peril Pals, if you ever find yourself in Llandudno.
Come to Llandudno, look me up, baby.
Now, before we get to the competition round, I want to cut you in on a deal. If you enjoy what we do, please take a minute to leave us a written review. We don't have a sponsor or a rich old relative we can rob. We make this purely for the love of it. And frankly, that's not enough. We're done. Junior has one foot out the door already, and Raoul's fixing to shoot him in the head. Poor old Burnham's been acting like we've been forcing him to keep doing this for a while. So leave us a review, and let us know someone cares. In Panic Room, greedy, impatient heir Junior recruits disgruntled security expert Burnham and psychotic, trigger-happy bus driver Raoul to help him crack his grandfather's safe. Secreted in the titular Panic Room, which contains valuable bearer bonds he doesn't wish to split with his family, but is happy to share with his fellow thieves. Ultimately, Junior's plan unravels when his accomplices discover his deceit about the value of the treasure, and Junior decides the heist is too much effort, announcing his departure and his intent to volunteer the location of the safe and inherit his fair share. Raoul executes him before he can bail, and the survivors then attempt to carry out the plan, but are foiled when the new tenants fight back. Burnham almost escapes justice, but is captured by police after returning to rescue his former hostages from his former accomplice. But how did the panel of Peril rate Junior's diabolical scheme? Was it a good concept? And how well was it pulled off? Adam?
Well, it's kiboshed, isn't it? Because he only makes one plan, and that's it. There's no plan B or
No
plan
contingency.
C. Absolutely none whatsoever.
Yeah.
So really, I guess he's playing into the archetype of a dumb crook. He's going to get rich real quick, and he's got a real simple plan, and nothing can go wrong until inevitably, within seconds, it does.
Yeah. Would you agree with that, Gaz?
Yeah, I mean, he's put together quite a good team. The guy that installed the Panic Room, some random psycho, good team members.
Yeah. BA and Howling Mad Murdoch.
But not paying attention to the fact that somebody's moved into the property is quite a big oversight, in my opinion.
Did you pick up on why that happened? He knew someone was moving in, but he'd been told...
It's supposed to be next week.
Yeah, he confused business days for actual days.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, you have to say, because of that, not a very good plan. Just shuffle it forward a few days, leave the psycho out of it. Just the guy that can get you into the Panic Room is all you need, really, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. And What about you, Ben? How much veg are you giving him?
Well, it's ridiculous, really. Because how long was that house on the market? He had loads of opportunity to get in there.
But I don't think we know, do we?
He decides to wait till the last minute. I just think it's very ill thought out for that much money. I don't even think he'd have needed to help us, because it isn't his granddad's house.
Yeah, which is why I don't think it was on the market very long, because he was trying to get in there before the will was read, right? That's the point.
Yeah. So that's weird then. Why are they even selling the house before the will was read? Who owns it to sell it?
Yeah, I guess they split the proceeds from it. Maybe they already had that.
Well, there's a lot of plot holes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of holes in Jared Leto's plan. So he's getting, just for including Raoul, because he made me laugh, 3 florets of broccoli.
The biggest hole in Jared Leto's plan is Jared Leto himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, including Raoul, I think, is his big mistake. I mean...
Yeah, obviously.
Considering they were expecting the house to be empty, this guy shows up with a gun. Who was that for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the kind of guy you want to throw in with, I don't think.
No.
This is the part of the show where the panel of peril compete for the title of Season 6's Most Diabolical. Up for grabs is 1 point for each vote, which will go towards the series leaderboard. Junior tried to steal his family's inheritance with the help of a couple of stooges, but what would you have done differently, Adam?
First again, damn you all. Damn you all to hell.
Search through his fucking Filofax for where
I can make Ben go first if you want.
Whoa, wait a minute. Don't have a go at me, because I had my favourite sequence like that. Alright.
Yeah, so once in 6
you
seasons.
Flopping around like a manky tuna hoisted out of a swamp of ill repute.
He's doing this now to buy himself more time. Look at him. He knows what he's doing.
I've got my plan right here, Sonny Jim.
Give you a plan in a minute.
As a crook, I like to hang around other crooks for a laugh. We talk about crook things, like what's the biggest bag with a $sign you've ever seen? And where is the best place to buy stripy jumpers without arousing suspicions? Some of the crooks aren't full-time crooks, though. They have other jobs and aren't necessarily planning the next big jewellery heist or safe cracking. Entirely the opposite. I just so happen to be friendly with someone moonlighting crooks, so I give them a bell. I tell them we're in a spot of bother and a householder has locked themselves in a room and won't come out, and that a little visit from them would definitely remedy the situation. I tell Junior and Burnham I have a plan, but we'll need to cut some others in if we want to salvage anything from this night. An hour or so later, there's a knock at the door. I ask Junior to open the door as we are expecting guests. But oh crap! It's the cops! Myself and Burnham are shocked and freeze in place as they make their way inside. One keeps us downstairs cuffed, whilst the other heads upstairs to check on our hosts. He explains to Meg and Sarah a neighbour called the police with a complaint about the noise, and they are just investigating. Having been watching on CCTV, they are relieved to see that we've been caught red-handed and open the door to greet their would-be heroes, only to find themselves being immediately pepper-sprayed, bound and gagged. Our 2 part-timers have done well. They uncuff us and we head upstairs to let Burnham finish the job. So they basically call in some crooked coppers.
Are these hot cops by any chance? Are they the hot cops from Arrested Development?
They might be. I've never seen that episode.
Well, they
they're in a couple, I think.
They might just start stripping.
I don't know.
In the middle of the event.
Could be the cops from American Pie, whichever one's that, where they turn up and it's a woman who takes off her clothes.
Ooh.
Just clarify when the fake cops come into the house in terms of at what point during the film.
It's like when they find out they go into the panic room and stuff, and they're like, well, we're not going to get them out of that panic room, and straight away he just rails on it and he just goes, right,
we need some fake cops.
We need a plan, and the easiest thing to do is get some other crooks in on it.
Interestingly, you picked Raoul, because I think he'd be the least likely to want to split the take any further.
Well, he's got pulled in, hasn't he, anyway? And he's the one that successfully negotiates to get extra money as well, doesn't he? Because goes from 100 grand to $1 million. So I think he's the one pulling the strings at the end of the day. And he is, because just pure force of personality mostly, and obviously he's got a big gun in his pocket as well.
How much are they paying these hot cops?
Well, I mean, there's 22 million there, but nobody knows about that until after they get in there. So they just promise him a fifth.
A fifth?
Yeah, because there's 3 of them and 2 coppers.
Jesus. That seems very generous.
But if they're going to salvage a night, that's what they're going to have to do. And that is it. Otherwise, they're going to walk away empty-handed. Or worse.
And no one walks away empty-handed from this show.
They'll be called cheater dog poo eaters or worse.
Well, I didn't necessarily task you with having your fair share of the money, so getting into the panic room and getting the loot, you've covered that, I think.
I certainly have.
That's fair. All right, then. Well, unless anyone's got any more questions for Adam, I'd like to hear next from Ben.
Jared Leto is a 10 out of 10 dreamboat. Can we all agree on that, please? Adam? Adam?
He's not my type.
Super dude?
No, he's too ratty.
I like Chris Evans.
Gaz?
I don't like him. No, I don't like him.
So, now that we're all agreed that Jared Leto is a dreamboat, can we move on with the plan, please? Junior, who you may have noticed is blessed with the luxuriously symmetrical face of Jared Leto, wants to get the bearer bonds before his greedy family. So, he decides to act alone. No Raoul, no Forrest Whitaker. With looks like these, who needs help? Junior unpicks his problematic white guy cornrows, runs a brush through his hair, and pops to the bakery to pick up a delicious savoury pie. He then visits the house, knocking on the door in broad daylight. "Hi," he says, as Jodie Foster opens the door. "I'm the grandson of the former owner of this house, and I wanted to welcome you to the neighbourhood." He thrusts the pie toward Jodie Foster. "I must admit I do have an ulterior motive for coming here today. I would love a last look around the old place. You know, before you settle in and make it your own." He flutters his curvaceous eyelashes. As a recent divorcee, Jodie Foster is powerless to resist, and she invites him in. He wanders from room to room, sharing childhood memories. Here's where Grandpa would chastise the local flora for their lack of ambition. He particularly hated willow trees, which he felt were a little too weepy. And here's where we trained Grandpa's cats to recite Elizabethan poetry. They never did get the hang of soliloquy. Such treasured memories. Junior smiles at Jodie Foster, his bottomless blue eyes lingering on hers. "Oh, and what about the panic room?" he says casually. "Were you able to set up all that complicated equipment? Oh, you haven't connected the phone line? Oh, I could help you if you like. We were always up there as kids. I know it pretty well." He twirls his silken locks through his fingers. Recently cuckolded Jodie Foster is a gibbering wreck as she nods her acceptance to this most generous offer. Once in the panic room, Junior says, "Oh, actually, we might need a Phillips head screwdriver. Do you have one handy?" In the time it takes Jodie Foster to locate a screwdriver, Junior slips the bonds deftly under his shirt. He then actually helps her connect the phone line. When they're finished, he thanks Jodie Foster for her hospitality, brushing her shoulder playfully as he promises to call her sometime. But he never does. He can get much better looking women.
Than Jodie Foster?
Yeah, he possesses the face of Jared Leto.
Who are they?
He could get any stripper he pleases. Why, he could go to any go-go bar in Manhattan and, before he finishes his thought, he has already hailed a taxi.
Is that the end?
"Where to?" asked the driver.
I was going to say, is that... Sorry.
Junior simply raises an eyebrow and smiles an incorrigible Jared Leto smile. "Seriously, pal, where to?" snaps the driver. "Oh, sorry," replies Junior. "Just the nearest strip club, please."
Okay.
So did he get any of the money or the bonds? Or did he just get
he
into
slips
panic
them under
room?
his shirt deftly.
Yeah,
I missed
interesting.
that. Okay.
And he did that by rapidly vibrating his hand until the molecules passed through the safe door.
It's like the Flash.
He knows the code, doesn't he? He knows
No.
it. Yeah, he does.
Don't think he does. Why
He
does
does.
he?
Because he's dead by that point. But yeah, he knows how to get in the safe. Because he doesn't bring Raoul along to get in the safe, right? He brings Forrest Whitaker along to get in the room. And then, he knows the code. Grandpa told him.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would wager.
The same combination as my luggage.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the kind of thing an idiot having his luggage.
Can we all agree that Sapphic and older Jodie Foster, you would shoot President Reagan for a moment of her company? Can we all agree that?
I find Jared Leto more attractive personally.
Jodie Foster's. She's pleasant.
See, and that's from a man who's known for his lust for life.
Lecherous attitude to the fairer sex. I of course joke. I just have an appreciation for boobs and fanny.
Connoisseur.
It's interesting. Anyone else have any more questions for Ben before we?
Basically, just to sell it, it's like he didn't need to be devious to that extent.
Just something about Jodie Foster and strippers. That's all I've got on here.
Yeah, is there a chance that Jodie Foster might just say, "Oh, I don't know you, and I'm not sure if I feel comfortable letting you in the house with my daughter here"?
Well, I was thinking this. I think I could charm my way into a house. So I think Jared Leto's face could charm its way into a house.
All right, let's postpone the voting for a week.
I'll go and charm myself into some
Yeah.
houses.
Come on,
If
then.
you can come back with evidence of that.
Charm your way into Super Dude's house now. Pretend you're knocking at the door.
Okay.
Hi there. My grandpa used to live here, and
Fuck off. All right then. Next, let's hear what would you have done differently, Gaz?
Bloody. Well, let's do this. This is going to be the thing that we'll all find surprising. I rather think the fellow had the right idea when he went for the gas canister in order to gas them out of the canister. What the fellow should have done is told the fellow and the other chap that a better thing to do would be to put liquid through the pipe instead of the gas there. The chap, being a cocky know-it-all, know-nothing sort, would demur and protest, but the fella and the fellow would follow him and chip away at the chap until he gaves in. But as for what liquid, well, therein lies the conundrum, thought the fella and the fellow, although to their surprise an answer would come from none other than the chap. And so it goes on like this. Afore he, the chap, posited that the best liquid to use would be a mousse of the chocolate or perhaps strawberry variety. The fellow would surely have an industrial-sized plunging device inside his bag of tricks, concurred the fella. And as for the mousse, well, the fella, being a grisly ne'er-do-well, had burglarised several other joints on the way to this jam, including the famous mousse factory of New York City, West Side. Plenty of pots of joy safely put into his backpack or satchel or swag bag. All things being well, and all things will be well, the lady and the lass's lungs will be laid with luscious mousse forthwith. Ah, but here's the clever part. A little known side effect of mousse is that it interferes with panic room electric and the doors will open after several nail-biting hours. Perhaps they play gin rummy or shithead, and the fellow can lead the fella and the chap across the chocolate or strawberry covered corpses to claim the booty.
To claim the booty. I like it.
So instead of the bit where he shoots gas up the vent, mousse.
watertight.
Yeah.
Moose type.
May I ask, Gaz, what's the most viscous substance you've put up a hose pipe?
Oh, I've got a feeling I may well have put Brill cream or hair gel up a hose pipe at some point.
And how did that go for you?
It was quite difficult. I think I had to poke it with a stick.
Let's leave it there. They're quite difficult.
But worth it in the end. The end result felt pretty good, I bet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think you could blow mousse up a hose pipe, though, couldn't you? You could pack it in and then go...
Are you talking Angel Delight style mousse?
No, I was thinking slightly less thick, like, you know, like the ones you get in 6-pack tubs, ready-made. A little bit thinner. Quite light.
Like a puddingy kind of mousse.
Deadly.
I think we're avoiding the elephant in the panic room here, aren't we? Which is how much mousse has Raoul got on him when he arrives?
He's got...
Because he is carrying a big vat, isn't he, when in the first scene you see him?
I assume he's the chap.
I did write it down.
Code.
The fellow is Forrest Whitaker. The fella is Dwight Yoakam. The chap is Jared Leto.
Oh, okay. So Jared Leto, not a burglar, but did go and rob some joints before they got there.
Hang on.
Of mousse.
Have you racially profiled him because of his cornrows?
No, the fella robbed...
okay, so Dwight Yoakam,
yeah.
He robbed enough mousse to fill the panic room.
Yeah. So I reckon that size of the panic room, 12x2, carry the 3. That's at least 4 swag bags full of mousse.
And why doesn't Jodie Foster and Kristen Stewart eat as much of the mousse as they can and then start shoving handfuls of mousse out of the pipe?
Also, Kristen Stewart's got diabetes or whatever, so that would help her, wouldn't it? Lovely bit of mousse.
I don't think that's how it works.
That would sort her out. Loads of insulin in mousse, isn't there?
It's not insulin that she takes in that shot. It's the other stuff.
Gravy.
Well, I think they eat to a certain point, but then it just fills up their trachea and it just starts depositing down into their lungs, as is the way of drowning.
Right.
Death by chocolate.
Or strawberry.
It'd be really difficult to drown in mousse.
Oh,
Do
I'd
they
love
used
to
to
give
do
it a go,
banana
though.
mousse?
I wouldn't like to try.
What a way to go.
Oh.
Stick that on my headstone.
Could you eat your way out of drowning out of mousse, though, and just, like, eat some of it?
We just
make
talked
a
about
little
that for the
pocket
past 5 minutes.
Make a pocket there.
You just tune out mentally. Just beep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, why did you eat it?
Just make a pocket of air by eating enough mousse. Just the size of your head.
A moosey igloo.
Like a moose space helmet.
All right, well, that's all the plans. Let's move on to the voting.
Hang on.
Look who's not ready now.
I'm writing my synopses of your guys' thing.
Okay.
I think so. I'm
Your
writing my
plan,
plan.
did you say? He's not even wrote it.
Okay, I will bring us home. You tried to fuck us? Are you stupid? What do you think was going to happen? Me and Raoul were just going to wait in the other room while you grabbed your share? Well, it looks like the jig is up. Burnham is right. There's no way I can hide the value of the bonds from him and Raoul once we crack that safe. And if I'm cutting in him and Raoul for a bigger share, hell, why not make this all easier? I'll still be making out hand over fist compared with what I'd get from the will. In for a penny, in for a pound. Instead of walking out the door, loudly announcing to the gun-wielding maniac that I'm about to screw him over, as I did in the original film, instead, I stand still and mute, tapping my foot and going, biding my time until his cue. Just then, fate steps in to assure me my plan is the way to go, and I mean literally steps in the form of sleepy old Stephen Altman, wee Willy Winky, all wet in his nightgown and trench coat. I explain my plan to my compatriots, and while Raoul is far from happy, he accepts this is probably our best option moving forward. Knowing what we now know, I head up to speak with Meg via the intercom, or if that's not working for whatever reason, I forget, I write her a note in big letters she can read on the CCTV. Anyway, the point is, she gets my message. I know she's getting a divorce from her rich husband, and I bet she'd enjoy just a little financial freedom. If she lets us into the panic room, we'll cut her in for a share too, a cool $5 million. she gets enough alimony for real, but she don't really fuck with the new girlfriend and shit, you know what I'm saying? So, the idea of financial independence is a welcome one, and if it means she can get her daughter's insulin, or whatever she's taking, and they'll both be safe, then so be it. But she's wary and sceptical naturally. How can she trust us not to kill them all once we get what we want? We make a deal. Only Burnham will be allowed to enter the panic room, while Raoul and I shall remain downstairs, holding the ex-husband hostage. Burnham will be unarmed, and everyone will be unharmed if we all cooperate. When the police arrive, we just pretend we haven't heard them. What are they going to do? They leave, and eventually Burnham cracks the safe. He leaves 5 million in bonds with the ladies in the panic room and brings the rest down to the gents to divvy up. Raoul kills us all and leaves with all the money. That's right, I've been a ghost this whole time, but that still counts as us getting into the room and getting the loot. So there we go. You any questions for me?
Who are all those names?
What names?
There's like someone called Stephen, and there's someone called Bernie.
Steve Altman's her ex-husband.
Ah, okay. So who's Bernie?
Burnham.
Forrest Whitaker.
Okay. I know Raoul because he introduced himself, so it's easy. And who's the English guy?
That was Jared Leto. But
That's
it wasn't
English.
Not English. I wasn't doing an English accent.
I thought it was Dick Dastardly.
No, it was Jared Leto. I wasn't doing an English accent. That was Jared Leto's accent.
Was it?
Listen again. She get enough alimony for real, but she don't really fuck with the new girlfriend and shit. You know what I'm saying?
That is good, yeah.
Yeah.
Would Dwight Yoakam's character agree to leaving the money for the women in the first place? Does he? Okay, so he kills them at the end. Does he go up and kill the women as well?
Probably.
I mean, maybe he does. So, at that point, the ghost of Jared Leto doesn't know really what's gone on after that.
I'm starting to suspect that Raoul isn't even his real name.
It's possible, right?
It's a pseudonym, Gaz.
I think it's probably Peter.
He's quite a big fella though, Burnham, isn't he? I know he's a bit of a softie in that, but they don't know that until he gets stuck in there with her daughter in the film, do they? He's quite intimidating. So I don't know whether they'd let any of them in. Junior and obviously Raoul is a nutcase, and then Burnham's a big fella, so they don't know what he's going to do. Don't know whether they'd let him in. That's
Racial profiling
thing.
again.
I don't think they'd let him. Yes, as well. There is that underlying racism.
Bastard.
Sick people.
So, do they kill Stephen?
Just horribly maim him like they do in the film.
Or they just got him. They just got him and they say, "Listen, we've got your ex-husband. We're willing to cut you in on the deal, and this will end it all now." Or do they?
Yeah, they still beat him up and tie him to the chair, yeah, and then but then they say, "Yeah,
we can stop this here if you accept 5 million." Okay,
yeah.
It's a good idea.
Well, let's find out if it was the best idea.
What would you do for 5 million, Gaz?
Give me a deck of cards, a nice bunch of unripe, so green bananas, a jar of honey, and we'll see where we go from there.
All right. Because 5 million yen is achievable. I could get that.
Yeah.
Can you get the honey though?
That's the trick. That's the trick.
The bees are disappearing. Tricky.
And by the time I get the green bananas here and fly them over to you in the UK, they'll be bloody ripe. I'll have to come back and get some more.
We're in a dilly of a pickle.
Those plans were finger-fuckingly diabolical. But who will get the votes? And just to recap the plans, first of all, we had Adam's copper plea bargain. He involved the cops, you see. You get it?
Yeah, I did, didn't I? I see what you did.
That's good.
Then we had
Good idea.
Ben's pie persuasion home invasion. Third, we had Gareth's moose loose about the hoose. And finally, we had my let Meg wet her beak plan. Let's see. Who am I going to vote for? Not that one. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's the way you do it.
Okay, well, Gaz, who have you voted for?
Well, this very week, I voted for the plan, which I think might stand a chance of actually working, which I determined to be Ben's plan.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting. Do you agree, Adam?
Funnily enough, I do.
Oh, my lord.
Ben, do you agree?
I wish I could. I thought there was another plan that probably would have worked, and that was the plan involving the hot cops. So I have voted for Adam.
Baby.
And I've drawn some little fluffy handcuffs that I suspect the hot cops would be wearing.
Well, in the end, I decided that the hot cops probably wouldn't work, because how are you explaining that they are able to subdue these guys so easily?
Because they got guns. They're coppers.
I don't know. He's got a gun as well.
And they're hot.
Anyway, as it went through my head, I agreed that Ben's plan would work.
Oh,
So it's a little clean sweep.
Oh, Excelsior.
Clean sweep.
Blimey.
But Gaz, how has that affected the season 6 leaderboard?
Oh, I'm
Big
thinking
change,
good
I
thoughts here. Yeah.
Big
I'm thinking
change.
real good thoughts.
I
Big
think
change.
the word blimey has been said at least once by me a couple of seconds ago, and I'm
Yeah.
going to reiterate blimey, because in first place with 20 points is me, Gaz.
Yeah.
Boo.
In joint second place with 16 points each are Super Dude, Adam, and Ben.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Look at that. It's tightened up now with
Tightened up
the home stretch.
like an axe chaff.
Because we're in the end game now, guys.
Whoa.
So, wait. Have we all got one more episode each?
Not me, but you.
This is your last episode?
This is it.
Yes.
Holy squiggle box.
Yeah. Next week, Ben will be hosting his final episode. What basket have you poured your last eggs into?
Well, I'm going for something somewhat of a Prison Break movie. Shot in 1994. Directed
I know what it
by
is.
Mr. Fran Darabont. We're going to be watching The Shawshank Redemption.
Well, what a movie.
It's a big one. I
Tis
thought
a
may as well
biggie.
finish on
Tis
a
a
on a
biggie.
high note.
So, that wraps up this episode like Patrick Bouchow's broken body in a chair, or the tattered remains of Dwight Yoakam's crushed hand in a bandage. Thank you for listening. And if you would like to be locked in a room with us, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and leave us a review on the very platform on which you're currently listening. You can follow us on social mediums at Diabolical Pod. Next week, we will be competing to improve on the diabolical plot of Warden Norton in the Shortened Retorten. Until then, remember, you're a bus driver, you live in Flatbush, so don't start spouting some Elmore Leonard bullshit you just heard, because I saw that movie too.
Nice.
I forgot that I'd written Warden Norton in the Shortened Retorten.
A little treat for yourself.
Yeah.
Just channeling your Dr. Seuss. Are there any songs about rooms?
Yeah. There's a place that I can go to when I'm feeling horny in my room, in my room, in my room, my room, my room.
In a room, there's no other faces. Don't know why I'm feeling like this.
Are there any good songs about rooms?
Panic on the streets of London. Panic on the streets of Birmingham. I wonder to myself.
Is that the Beatles?
Or, I chime in with, haven't you people ever heard of closing the goddamn door? No. Whatever, it's not better to see these kinds of things with sense of poison rationality. That's Panic at the Disco.
Ah. Nice.
Panic at the Disco. Panic at the Disco. Panic in the Taco Bell. Do. Panic at the Disco. Panic at the Disco. Panic in the streets of hell. Oh, my alarm's going off. Smoke alarm went off because I was too hot.
Spitting fire.
Well, don't you want to know how we keep starting fires?
It's my desire. It's my desire. It's my desire. Hey, Joe, I was thinking.
What?
Right, and this is another one of my zany, Dutch angle looks on life.
Oh.
What if, right, this film featured Corporal Jones from Dad's Army? Would it be called the No Panic Room?
No, don't panic room.
Don't panic room. Don't panic room, everyone. Don't panic room. That's zany, isn't it? Write that down.
Oh, dear.
Oh, God, where do you get these ideas from? I really don't know.
I don't know. They just come to me. They just
come to you.
Yeah, I'm mad, me. I'm mad. Absolutely mad.
Just about get down to Vinegar Strokes, and I think of these ideas and stop and write them down.
If Demi Moore had had her first child later in life and named it after this movie, would she be called Panic Rumour Willis?
I don't know what Demi Moore's kid's called.
Rumour Willis.
Rumour?
Yeah.
Rumour. There's a dirty rumour going
Spelt
round.
like a rumour?
Take it for a bath.
No, R-U-M-E-R. I think.
Isn't one called Scout as well, or something like that as well?
Yeah. After the character from
The Last Boy Scout.